Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Monday, the 1st of January 2024. I am Flat Cap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. We are kicking off the new year just slightly before midnight. How are you spending your New Year's Eve? I'm YouTubing. That's what I'm doing. I thought I'll try and get it done and get the video out the night before. I've got stuff on New Year's Day in the daytime, so it suits me to do that. Apologies, I know the last week I've been a little bit chopping and changing with times and stuff, but hopefully people can appreciate. Christmas is family time, and so just trying to fit stuff in. And then when I'm doing extra videos, technically like a video for Bank Holiday New Year's Day, then I thought it was going to be in the morning, but I've done it the night before. I'm just going to kind of stick to the races and get it done and get it uploaded. And then next week I'm going to go through a lot more of a kind of a deep. I say next week, we are heading into Monday, but I'm going to go into a much more deep dive in other videos about kind of stats for 2023 and that kind of stuff. But we finished last year with this bet on the 30th of December. Worn out the placings for free bookies and 2 out for everyone else. Backed into 11-2 but faded and ran better than the odds but not good enough. So we ended £6 loss. It was a £52 loss to end the year, which was not great. But finished in our top 5 worst weeks of the year to finish with. That's not how you want it to be. But we did finish the month up 36. So the result was we won for 6 months and we lost for 6 months last year for 2023. And the grand total was £836 profit, 16.74%. I'll do more. As I said, I'll do more deep dive. If anyone's interested, when I changed the stats and I tightened up the selection process and tightened up the staking plans from the 6th of September. 6th of September to the end of the year did read a 33% profit margin. So we did better in the last 4 months since I changed everything. Not necessarily because I changed everything. I'd like to just point that out there. I think the last 4 months of the year before, we were 74% up for the last 4 months. So the all-weather, September, October, November, December, generally does me proud and has done the last 2 years of doing this channel as well. So that's where we're at. Now, bounding into New Year's Day, and I'm going to say to you, I am going to have a little go at New Year's Day, particularly at Newcastle. I'm a big fan of the Newcastle meeting. It is right up my street in terms of track, distances I'm happy with, and the fact that a lot of it's decent quality. Does that mean that we're going to come away with a big bonanza of cash, or does that mean we're going to lose our lot? I don't know. But what I am going to say, for the first time since the 23rd of September 2023, it's a double stake day, £40. I've got 7 bets. There is a split leg each way Yankee on the jumps, and then I've got 3 Newcastle Yankees, and I've got 3 combination doubles. 2 of them are Newcastle, and one's Musselburgh on the jumps in Newcastle. I'm going for it. First day of the year. I really didn't expect to. I went through all of the jump stuff first, and I pulled out 5 races I had an interest in, and I had a short list. There was 5 horses in 4 races, and then there was another race, the Musselburgh race. I was split between a few. I ditched one jumps race, just left it with 2 at Fairyhouse, 1 at Tramore, and the Musselburgh 145, which I'm very keen on. And then Newcastle, I've got something in every race, and some races I've got a couple, and some I've got more than that. So really going to have a little challenge and go at Newcastle. So if you want to be involved, it's entirely up to you. This is optional. It's free of charge. You do what you want with the advice I give. I never promise anything. I'm here to show you a different way of betting. And for the last 2 years, it's proven successful in the long term, making profit on both years, and with legitimate figures as well. Albeit for a chunk of 2023, we were using the Sky Bet only accountancy system, but you would have come out ahead using the most of the major bookies, not necessarily all of the niche ones or some of the less favourable ones on the high street, because I haven't got stats for it all. But so I'm not making promises, but if you want to get involved, it's £40. You don't have to pay me £40. that is what I'm putting my own money on the channel staking plan. So £40 double stake, which makes me feel a bit nervous. I'm like, have I really lost my mind? It's New Year's Eve and I'm going through everything, and is it really what I think it is? But I don't know. What I will say to you is it's Sunday night, and that's always a helpful thing, because I think the markets often Sunday night into Monday aren't always the most accurate. That's a helpful thing. And it's Sunday night and the markets are quite flat because most people are really busy out doing other things. There's not a lot of movement on the markets. But I honestly read those Newcastle races, read the markets, the Newcastle races, and think there's a lot of them that just look a bit skewy to me, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. Let's find out Monday afternoon whether I've got it right or not, or whether we're going to start the year with a £40 hole when the rest of the week's pretty quiet. So there won't be a video. There's nothing good for me on this Tuesday, but Tuesday night I'll be back, and I think we've got Kempton on Wednesday races. It's probably Southwell Thursday, Newcastle Friday. So that's going to be my main focus, some of the all-weather. But history says to me the all-weather, once we get into the new year, is a little bit of a harder read, generally speaking. And I've just said I'm going big at Newcastle, but it generally is a little bit of a harder read in terms of my stats show not as good a return January to March on the all-weather as I get September to December for the all-weather season. So Happy New Year. Excuse me if I carry on drinking my pint. It's my second pint. It's my second two pints on New Year's Eve. That is how rock and roll I am. All right, here we go. So, starting off, split leg Yankee on the jumps, 12.40 Fairyhouse. Great betting structure for the race. Run for Harry's got a slightly inconsistent profile, but I think it's the right play at that price. So, Run for Harry 16 to 1. The 115, I've split it between a couple of suspects we've had before. One very regular, Briha, 12 to 1. Again, anything double figures for that horse. It's running consistently well over multiple different disciplines on different going. There's no reason it won't run a consistent race again. So that's in the split leg. And for those of you who can cast your mind back to the 16th of November, C-Set was a horse we took at 33 to 1. And it was on handicap debut. It was stepping up in distance on dodgier ground than it's run on its novice and maidens, but it was a decent flat horse. It didn't run a bad race. I think if you watch back the race, which I've done a couple of times this evening, third last and second last fences didn't say fences, technically they were hurdles. It didn't take them very well, and I think that cost it finishing slightly better than that. The horses that were in that race and in and around it have gone on to run fairly consistently since. So I think there can be a bit of improvement for C-Set with a little bit of a better round of jumping than what it's shown. And when it was on the flat, it ran on heavy and performed pretty well. So I think there's reasons to be interested in that horse at 66s. If it's a flopper this time, then I would probably not be going around it again. But we're chancing our arm C-Set. I look back on the 16th of November video, and on that day I said Sharko Hanlon tends to do well off horses first time or second time on a handicap. We backed it first time. We'll try again second time. So C-Set's in. Then we're going 140, Tramore, Cruising Susan. I'm sure Susan will back Cruising Susan, but I'm keen on Cruising Susan. I think it's a good horse of Tramore. And then 145 Musselburgh. I found that race really interesting. I think the market's all wrong the night before. And I had 4 on the short list. I've got 3 in the combination doubles. My number 1 pick edged it slightly as Can, and that's the one I've put in here. So 145 Musselburgh Can at 16 to 1. So the staking plan, 2 times 10p each way Yankees. So that's Run for Harry, Breahurt, Cruising Susan, and Can. 1 Yankee, second Yankee, Run for Harry, C-Set, Cruising Susan, and Can. We've got a 50p win single on Breahurt, 12 to 1, smaller price, and then 50p each way singles on the other 4. And then we've got a little 20p each way double. If you look for the second circles, Run for Harry and Can. I've done that wrong. That's annoying. See if I can get another pen. Hang on, I don't want to get that wrong. I've circled the wrong one on the bet. Right. Okay, that's what it should be. So ignore this squiggly line. The double is Run for Harry and Cruising Susan. So if you're fast forwarding this, you're going to get completely screwed and you should have watched the video properly. But if you're listening, the each way double, the little 20p each way double, Run for Harry and Cruising Susan, that's the each way double, 20p each way double. 9.30 is the bet. Sky come out best, and then Paddy or 365 because you'll get bog. There's not many races on Monday that Sky are better than, and most bookies are pretty similar on four places on most of the races I'm taking. Of Newcastle, it's 5 out of 7 of 4 places for most bookies. The ones probably to avoid are Coral and Ladbrokes and Betfair, slightly less favourable of some of the regular bookies I'll talk about. So 9.30, that's the first bet. That's the main jump. That is the jumps bet. Then combo double. This is the big combo double. So the 145 Musselburgh got Can. I've added in Collingham and Scott's Poet. There was 4, and I've got it down to 3, and I couldn't really split them, so I'm going to put them in the combo doubles. The 4 o'clock Newcastle, I got that to 4, and I was happy with the prices, so I've left the 4. So we've got a 3 and a 4, so it was 12 lots of doubles. So we've got Rainbow Dreamer, Baron Boehm 25s, Pleasant Man 14s, and Chauvelin the old boy 20s. £6 is the bet because it's 12 times 25p each way doubles. You put them all in your bet slip, and it comes out with 12 possible combinations. But overall, those were the 2 races that I felt there was the most inaccuracies with the way that the market had priced the horses up. So they were the ones, but then because I found quite a few of them, it's then hard sometimes to make a call about which is the right one to kind of put out, because you're making a call between, you know, a horse that might have a 6-point value swing in in how I would read it versus one with a 7 or 8 point swing. So you've got really small margins. So Can's a top one for that one, and then I've called it. You'll see in the Yankees, Rainbow Dreamer and Baron Boehm are in the Yankees for separate to that as well. So 365 or Paddy. Most bookies are 4. You want to make sure both you've gone bookies that are paying 4 places. But yeah, 12 runners, 4 places. That's my kind of gig. That's that's what I like. Because yeah, you've got a 1 in 3 chance. It's the same as 9 runner race paying 3 places. 15 runner race paying 5 places, which doesn't happen very often. But yeah, I get a lot of joy out of as in not like it makes me really happy, but in terms from a betting point of view, yeah, 4 places, 12 runners, I think it's a good place to be. So 365 and Paddy, because you'll get the best price guaranteed on those multiple bets. All right, and then we're into the 3 Newcastle Yankees. So this one is sort of horses that have been reasonably consistent. That's how I would roughly describe that. Rainbow Dreamer maybe not so much, but the rest have. So Newcastle 2 o'clock Rainbow Dreamer 16s, 2.35 Brocktoon Red at 14s, 3.45 Urban Sprawl 20-1. I say that because there's 2 urban horses in the staking plan. 5.15 Admiral D 22s, 20p each way Yankee, and we just got 25p each way singles on the 4. £6.40. So we have got more money going on multiples than we have on the singles. In generally speaking, I appreciate that's normally I would be doing 50p's, but because I've got in that for those, for instance, I've got 2 apiece in each race. I've split down the single money. 6.40 is the bet. Sky are 1 better on one of those races, but then most bookies are 4. So Paddy or 365 are going to be your next best options for bet 3. And then bet 4, we've got 2 o'clock Baron Boehm 25s, 3.10 Queen of Impenina 16s, 4.45 Bazball 12s, 5.15 Pendleton 12s. Basically, they all roughly those 4 are coming under the banner of, I think there's more mileage in their mark in that they still look like they're on slightly upward trajectories. Some of them are a little bit zigzaggy upwards, but most of them are on an upward trajectory. That's roughly how I would read those. 20p each way Yankee. We've got 50p win singles on the bottom 2, the 2 12-1 shots, and we've got 25p each way singles on the bigger 2, Baron Boehm and Queen of Impenina. 6.40 is the bet. Sky best on one of those races, I think it is, and Bazball's only three places only, I think, except maybe that's the one that Sky is an extra place. And then 365 or Paddy will be your next best. Basically, if I'm not reading out a whole list of bookies, broadly speaking, if on these ones, you don't want Coral, Ladbrokes or Betfair, but most of the others I would mention, like your Betfreds and your Betways, William Hill, are all in the same boat for these. So that's bet 4. Bet 5, Newcastle. 235, Urban Road, 33 to 1. 310, Dingle, 20 to 1. 345, Chuzzlewit, 20 to 1. 415, Miss Bella Brand, who's done us a favour before, 33s. These fall roughly in the bracket of stepping up in distance, which is not easy in Newcastle because it's a bit of a stiffer track. But when we say stiffer, it means it's slightly up towards the end. But yeah, I think there's some good prices in there for horses that are stepping up a little bit. Miss Bella Brand is proven over 7, to be fair, but the other 3 stepping up a bit. 20p each way Yankee, 3 times 25p each way singles on the first 3, and then the 415 we've only got the 1 horse Miss Bella Brand, so that is a 50p each way single. So that's 690. Sky Better on 1 race, 365 and Paddy, because you've got best price guaranteed. Avoid Coral, Betfair and Ladbrokes. And then we're into the last couple of combos. We've got the 235 and the 310 for this one. These are both the Marlin 2 handicaps, but that's the only one that's not a Class 2. So at 235, Urban Road and Brocktune Red, going on to the 310, Dingle, Queen of Impanina, 4 times 25p each way doubles, £2 is the bet. Most bookies are 4 on that, so 365 and Paddy, you'll get bog. There's no extra places on Sky on that one, so bet 6 is £2. And then finishing off, 345, Urban Sprawl, 20s and Chuzzlewit at 20s, going off the 515, Admiral D at 22s, Pendleton 12s, and I have added in a shorty in Gisborne, 8 to 1, so it's 6 times 25p each way doubles, £3 is the bet. Sky are best. On this one, 365 Paddy, Coral and Ladbrokes are okay for this one. They are paying 4 as well. For Sky, you've got 5 on, I think it's the first leg, 5 placed in the first leg, so that is £3. So that should, if I've done my maths right, add up to £40 double stake. What you'll notice is I haven't got a 4-leg fourfold bet, which I haven't done for a long time. It definitely is a viable day to do it, but by the time I'd added up all of the Yankees and the extra doubles, I'd maxed out the £40 stake. So I didn't want to trim down anything just to put an extra like 10p each way fourfold on there. But yeah, there's you'll see there's 5 races at Newcastle where I've got multiple horses. There's one at Musselburgh and there's one at the one at Fairyhouse, and I would say all of those are viable in that way. The problem I get sometimes is when you've got a race where I've got, in some cases here, like 3 or 4 horses, to try and pick like 4 races and 2 in each one when you've got 3 or 4 to choose from does make it a little bit harder. I prefer to do those bets when I've got a clear read of just 2, 2, 2, 2 and 2. And in that case, I've got 3 races like that in Newcastle, and the Fairyhouse one, C set, is a little bit more of a educated value in the price for improvement, rather than it's a solid one to put in a bet like that. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So that's going to be it for me. I'll leave it there. We'll have to do the wrap up of the tipster at some point this week, so I'll aim to try and do that Wednesday night. I'm not sure, there could be a separate end of year review video. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to factor that in. It depends basically if Tuesday night's video is going to be quiet and it's just going to have if I've only got a small bet, say for instance at Kempton, then I'll probably do an end of review together with it. If there isn't, then I might do a separate end of year review video, which I did last year. But yeah, I can go into a little bit more of the stats. And I guess the key thing I would say with the stats is, yeah, I'm really, really pleased where we got to the end of the year. It was a tough slog, and there were some really, really tough like weeks on end where it was really not great. And yeah, we turned it around properly by the end of the year. I mean, we were in profit most of the year, but I appreciate for some of that year, the way the stats are recorded, you'd have only been ahead properly with Sky Bet at points. But overall, everybody would have come out and said, well, at the end of the year. But the thing I'm really proud of about the stats is my stats are super, super transparent. And there's not many people out there that record statistics and profit and loss. And certainly on YouTube there isn't. And yeah, there really isn't many, and even the ones that do, some of them, they don't necessarily do it in an open and transparent way. So, you know, open and transparent is every single day you will see in the review of each of my videos the profit and loss. So you can go and cross-reference everything you want. You can go and cross-reference whether I've added it up. And in the 2 years of doing the video, people have helped me and corrected me if I've miscalculated my staking plan. But rarely, and if it would be by pence usually, have I miscalculated the profit and loss at the end of each day. People never question that because it is 99% accurate. So it's all there, transparent every single day. It's not like at the end of the year I go, surprise, I've made a profit when I haven't told you I have all year long, and there isn't really, then you're not able to then go and track back. You could, if everybody wanted to, you could go and track back every single video this year, and the profit and loss should add up to the same profit and loss that I quote at the end of the year. The way I record the stats is also really, really importantly transparent. And when I first started doing these, before I started my channel, when I looked around on YouTube, I only found one channel that I felt recorded stats in a super open and transparent way. And I was like, do you know what? That's the right way about going about doing things. So yeah, and at the time, Connor was the only one who did it. And there isn't really much hasn't really not really much has moved on in that, to be honest, in terms of there hasn't really been many people that have then come around, done stats, or people start doing stats and then they don't look so good, so they make them disappear or whatever. Now, I don't charge for my tips, and I've never will charge for my tips. I won't be on YouTube forever, and I'll always say that as well. But what I'm trying to do is demonstrate actually how, if you are decent at what you do, if you keep a profit and loss, people know where you're at with it. Now, if I wanted to sell tips, what I would do is I would use a site like this and I would purport my true profit and loss, because that would entice people. If I suddenly turn around tomorrow and said I'm going to do a paid service, there'll be a whole bunch of people who are really knocked off with me and call me Judas because I said I never do it. Not going to do it. But equally, there'll be a bunch of people that would ultimately happily pay me some money because I've proven for 2 years profit and loss. Now, why don't most people do it? Most people do it can't be bothered, and that in itself should be a massive red flag. You can't be bothered to do it because it takes a bit more time. Well, YouTube takes time, but do it profit and loss. Actually show people where you're at with things, because it's helpful on winning runs. People see where you're at, but also on losing runs, it's really helpful to refer back to and go, well, it feels bad. Actually, if you add up what we got last month, it's not as bad as that. But there are also a lot of people don't do it because they don't want to show people the reality of what they're doing, right? So if all you do is put out shorties all day long, and you run a YouTube channel and you've put out 3 horses and they're mostly favourites or whatever, 5-2 favourite in a 21 runner handicap, right? If that's what your gig is, right? I don't begrudge people that, but the short term is people will see regular winners, right? They'll see regular winners in the short term and they'll think, well, this person knows what they're doing. But tipping favourites isn't really tipping, is it? Because it's basically saying, I agree with what most other people think. That's not really tipping. So, what you find in that sort of situation is the people that generally pick three or four shorties, unless they're giving you a specific staking plan, they might get 1 winner or 2 winners a day. But long term, actually, they just slightly lose a bit of money, right? So you're not going to lose your life savings unless you're betting silly, doing things like that. But you don't need to pay someone to go and find what the favourites are of the race. You can go and look at that yourself, and people can blindly back favourites. By the way, if you did do that, you'd lose money. But what I'm trying to do is demonstrate to people there's a different way around these things, and actually, but not blindly picking big prices, but finding value in the market in lots of different ways, and you string it together in multiples, and it's against what most people think, and that's why I think people think it's witchcraft at times. It doesn't look like it makes sense to people because it's not what people got brought up on. But my profit and loss shows for 2 years, it can make sense. It frustrates me no end that people don't put profit and loss out there, and people cheer people. Well done, you've done brilliant things. You've got a 5-2 winner. I mean, you don't need to go on YouTube if you want to find 5-2 winners. You don't need to be surfing around YouTube. You know what I mean? That isn't what's the point. You can go and do it yourself. You can go and look in newspapers and look at what newspaper tips is. That'd be no different if there's no profit and loss there, because people with profit and loss as well, right? So even if it looks open and transparent, and they'll say at the end of the year, look at what I've done, isn't it been a great year, and yada yada yada. There's tricks of the trade, right? The tricks of the trade that you never see here, but the tricks of the trade that exist. So I make it very, very clear. I take the price, and if the price is bigger, well done to anyone who gets the price bigger. I take the price because I believe and I can demonstrate that most of my horses shorten. Not all, but more than 50% shorten. And so I'll take the price. What some people will do is they will take they might, let's imagine they upload a video at 5 o'clock on the 31st of December for a horse running on the 1st of January, and they'll say estimated odds 6-1. Well, by the time the market opens, if the horse is actually 5-1, they won't worry about that because no one's going to remember at the end of the year when they just do their stats. But 6-1 is what they'll say. It might actually be 5-1, be best price you can get. It might actually SP at 7-2. They'll take 6-1. They'll also do the opposite. So if the horse was 6-1, they'll go estimated odds 6-1. The SP was 10-1. When they do the stats, they'll take the 10-1. And a lot of the really, really high profile tips, as you see, I'm not talking about YouTube now, just generally on the internet, the people that most people would know about. If you actually look at how they record their stats, they'll take either the best price, and you can't get best price guaranteed most anywhere now the night before. So it's really morally, I would say, incorrect to be taking the best price either the night before or the SP to massage your figures to make it look right. And you would be amazed, right, if you actually sat down and did some calculations on some of these tipster sites and looked at the difference. So the winners that might be the same, but the difference between the getting the prices at either end of the day, that makes a huge difference, right? So if I was recording the best price I could possibly get on any of these at any moment, my stats would be way better than 16.74%. But I'm quite happy with that. It's not as good as what I did last year, but last year I said at the end of the year I overachieved. This year's probably more in line. So yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of amusing about stats, right? So most people don't have profit loss. The ones that do, it's not open and transparent. And yeah, there isn't many out there. And I've said earlier on in the vid, Connor was the only one, and he's obviously had a bit of a tough year personally, but tough year on his what he's doing on his staking plan. But he has a staking not a staking strategy, he has a selection strategy which mathematically works, but you need to use that in a staking plan which is consistent, and that can be quite hard, and it's also reliant on the market being accurate. And what I do is I look at the inaccuracies of the market, so it's a little bit different. But absolutely, as far as I'm concerned on YouTube, Connor's a forerunner for recording stats fairly, I think he goes about it the right way in that sense. It frustrates me no end because people think they're onto a winner and all the time, and then they're really, really not, right? And I don't have to record all the stats, and I know most people, well, not most people, I don't know actually, I have no idea the stats of it. Some people probably don't care. I know they don't care about the stats. For me, the stats are important because it's about honesty and transparency, and that is what my channel's about. So my last word before we get to midnight, and most will probably watch this after midnight, is just thank you very, very much to every single person who interacts with the channel. It means the world to me, and if it wasn't for the interactions for the channel, I wouldn't carry it on, because I get joy from the community that's been created, which wasn't necessarily what I thought was going to happen, but joy from that, and joy from the fact that people genuinely are saying they're getting some benefit from following the channel. Whether you follow my tips or not, I really don't mind or care, to be honest. The point of the channel is to demonstrate to people the right way to do things and how to make profit whilst having a bit of fun. So, I'm not here to show you how to be a professional tipster. I'm here to demonstrate that you can have a hobby and actually, not lose money with your hobby, which is what most hobbies do. And this way you can make it interesting and fun. So, I could come out and just give you my best 2 horses of the day. That's not as fun as making a whole nice complicated staking plan with 7 bets and £40 stakes. There we go. All right. You all have a lovely, lovely new year, however you're bringing it in. And I will be back Tuesday night. So that's the 2nd of January. Tuesday night for Wednesday's selections, which will be based most likely at Kempton. Thank you very much. Goodbye 2023. See you in 2024. That's it. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye. See you. Bye bye. Bye bye.